Andrew Tate says he was playing a comedic character after being banned from all of social media.
That's what they all say.
So, Dane, why don't you give, for the people who don't know who Andrew Tate is, I'm sure there's at least one person in the chat who doesn't know who Andrew Tate is. Why don't you explain to everyone who he is?
Okay, so my elevator pitch for the guy is basically he is like the Hassan Piker of the MRAs.
That's fair. That's fair.
He's got a grift.
Oh, yeah.
He's sticking to it.
It's absolutely a multi-level marketing scheme.
Oh, he knows what he's
Hustlers
doing.
University is not a real thing.
I mean, it is a real thing.
But I'm saying, but it's not. But it's not like you know what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not. It's not like in good faith. It doesn't feel like to me.
I mean,
make your money. Hey,
hey, man. Like
I'm as close to laissez-faire as it gets, my friend. You make your money.
I'm not paying it. But the thing is, so he's a former kickboxing world champion.
That part I didn't know till today.
World-renowned misogynist.
Yep.
And basically the Hassan Piker of the MRAs. So the reason why I wanted to talk about him on the show is because he really shows the double standards we have in society in like a trillion different ways.
I was going to say double standards and hypocrisy are kind of like the case du jour for today.
That's true, yeah. How do you figure, Dane?
So, first of all, like as we're learning from like She-Hulk, like misandry is all the rage.
That is du jour, for sure.
Like not only can you like threaten guys like constantly and like not only like threaten like bodily harm, but to like end their lives. And it's like, yas queen.
Yeah.
Like this guy is giving like takes that pretty much any like religious figure from another country would take, and it's interesting on multiple levels. So like if you're on the internet, you can't avoid him, and like here's some opinions that I've heard from him. Number one, most Christians are hypocrites because they don't stick to the letter of the Bible. Number two, Islam is like the last religion because like most of them do like stick to the letter of the law.
Yeah, but they also they treat theirs. Christianity treats it as a moral framework, and Islam treats it as an actual
legal
framework.
Law. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Like second, like third, basically he's like just common like lowest common denominator, like pretty much what everyone like all the MRAs say. Except he's like jacked and rich, so when he says it, it adds like a layer of I want to say legitimacy. Yeah.
This is what I want to say. The narrative to that runs contrary to his is literally the entirety of the establishment, right? So every level of society is pushing a feminist or I don't want to say misandrist, but a female perspective.
Oh, it's definitely misandrist.
Okay, so it's masculinity is toxic. Femininity is somehow bad too because you should want to act like men if you're a woman.
What?
Everything and his is talking like, and I'm going to give you the most charitable definition of his stuff, which is like traditional gender roles are a thing. Men should lead women. Blah blah blah. Whatever. The narrative pushing back against him is every level of society. It's in entertainment. It's in academia. It's in our social media. It's in every level of society, but they're still so afraid of this one dude that they want to just completely get rid of his voice.
And there's so many contradictions. Like I'm sure you've heard like sex work is real work.
Oh yeah, so
right?
many times.
Well, he's like a giant employer of sex workers. Yeah. You know, like
there you go, empowering.
And like, everyone knows that that's not necessarily my opinion, but it's the fact that why is misogyny allowed in mainstream hip hop?
Yes.
And not from him.
Well, yeah, what he's like, the same things that he's parroting are the same things that will be spoken of in rap lyrics. And like he says in this right here, he says, I'm playing a comedic character. Now,
and he is in a lot of senses.
Does he, like I said, do I know if he is? Do I believe he is? Maybe, maybe not. I do believe that anytime you put yourself in front of a camera like that and you're showing ostentatious jewelry, you're portraying yourself in a certain way, it may be you, but it's like they said with professional wrestling, like the best characters are you turned up to a power of 11, right?
Yeah.
So he's over-exaggerating who he is for the camera, but that's still playing a character. How is is that any different in a world where the metaverse is now blending with the real world? How is that any different than violent, misogynistic song lyrics that we hear all the time?
There's so many critiques you can give him. Like, for example, like, you can say he's inconsistent because, like, he talks about, like, how men should, like, protect women and, like...
I have to ask.
And look...
Before we move on, speaking of, like, protecting women... I keep hearing things about him being like a human trafficker.
Okay, I looked into that. So they
What's
like
up with this?
that
I don't know.
He got like his house in Romania, I believe, got raided in April, saying that links to sex trafficking. Obviously, there has been no prosecution. He's not in jail. None of that stuff. And then, in fact, I have that in this other article. This was the one that I found the most interesting because. Let me see what the specific part that I was talking about. We'll come back to that one. Okay, so it says, the allegations have been raised against Tate as of late are simply adding fuel to the flame of his public persona imploding. Tate's home was reportedly raided by police with an investigation into human trafficking. Despite this report, there have not been any formal charges raised against the former boxer with regard to human trafficking at the time of writing. Another allegation being raised against Tate is that his online courses, dubbed Hustlers University 2.0, is actually a multi-level marketing scheme. So it's what's it? Mary Kay for men.
Mary
Kay dude. Like, so,
Avon, yeah.
So that one I actually, like, if there was one that I would buy into a claim of, like, being, like, fraudulent or a crime, I would believe way more that there's a crime being committed in his business than the idea of him human trafficking.
Right. And so, like,
That's
the thing
fine,
is, the gripe that I have to him is, like, the same thing that I have with Trump is, like, they never get him in the areas that they should.
Yeah.
Like, first of all,
they turn them into overblown cartoon character villains.
Yeah.
He talks about protecting women, but yet, like, he owns, like, you know, like a chat, whatever. I don't know what I can get off saying here on YouTube, but, like, a women chat company, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. Right. So he talks about that.
An after-hours chat show.
I want to read his statement. So he says, "It's very unfortunate that old videos of me where I was playing a comedic character have been taken out of context and amplified to the point where people believe absolutely false narratives about me. In the last 2 weeks, I dedicated over $1 million to charities supporting women. I posted this on Instagram, but Instagram ignored it. Internet sensationalism has purported the idea that I am anti-women when nothing could be further from the truth." He continued, "This is simply hate mobs who are uninterested in the facts of the matter, trying to personally attack me. They twist the facts and produce fancy documents full of half-truths and lies to attack people they don't like."
We do know they do this.
Elsewhere, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if this is a good guy or a bad guy. I just know that these tactics are well documented, and I don't take anything at face value anymore.
Right.
It says, elsewhere in Tate's statement, he bragged that he'll always have 1 million fans around the world and said his online platforms are a beacon of light, teaching people of all genders and races how to respect one another for years to come.
Maybe not.
Somehow I am the villain when all of my posts were Bible verses and charitable donations. Banning me only inspires more internet hate mobs and more division. They will become a weapon of attack for different points of view for the foreseeable future.
I agree on that last point.
And we saw this before. You get rid of the alt-right people, and what they do is they dress it up nicer. Tim's talked about that a million times. And then the only people left are the ones who hide it better, right? So you cannot battle his arguments, especially it's almost embarrassing for a mainstream establishment to not be able to push back against a guy's ideas when you have every level of society parroting what you believe. If you are intelligentsia, if all of the people who are supposed to be your thought leaders can't come back on one dude who talks about having a Bugatti, then maybe you're just embarrassing at building up your own like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe just by virtue of the fact that he is more considered like to be like a contrarian voice, it comes off as more organic, whereas everything to the contrary feels very much as if the establishment is pushing it on you. But they should be able to push back on this dude's ideas if they're so bad.
Yeah.
I think misogyny is only allowable, according to these people, if they can make a profit off it.
Yeah. Of course.
You know, like money. Jay-Z talks about selling drugs. Jay-Z talks about like objectifying women nonstop. He literally calls us Jehovah or Jova, like, or something, like which is like a name for God or something. Hova. Jeez, and it's like he's cool. Yep. And so, like, how is, like, I just want consistency is what I mean. It's like, why is society, like,
maybe it's because he's, like I said, maybe it's because he's getting the money for himself, and there isn't like an establishment group taking a cut.
Maybe that's dawning on me. Yeah,
they're more willing to look.
There's no record company.
They don't care about values. They care about being able to profit off of what you say.
Right. Record companies profit off Jay-Z big time. Andrew Tate's doing it for himself, which I think might be why they have such a big problem with him. I will say he looks a little bit like Napoleon Dynamite. He has a really weird physical shape. No judgment, but
Andrew
I think
Tate looks like Napoleon Dynamite.
He does. Look at his mouth. It's like,
no way, dude. Let me look at him.
Look at it. I'm serious. The one where he's in the pool looks exactly like Napoleon Dynamite when he goes out to feed Tina.
This was there's a paragraph here that really bothered me, and I want to mention it. So this is from the Distractify article. It says another allegation being raised against. Down there. So they talk about the Hustlers University course, blah blah blah, and then it says even if the aforementioned claims about Tate aren't true, meaning human trafficking or running a fraudulent business, even if those claims aren't true, there is plenty of evidence to support his deplatforming from major social media channels. By spreading hate speech, Tate has influenced an entire generation of perpetually online young men to propagate ideas that encourage violence against women and have no place in modern society, as a perfectly expressed by the group of teachers on Reddit worried about the impact on their students. I'll tell you what, I read that stuff from the teachers on Reddit. I didn't believe any of it.
Well, can you give like a spark notes?
They were like,
thank you.
Let me see if I can. They're
just like, it's influencing my 5th graders to be mean to ladies.
Yeah.
And they're like quoting Jordan Peterson or something. It's the end of the world.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Imagine.
I know. Imagine. Right. Terrible.
So I think that I had 8 years ago, I had girls that wouldn't stop talking about Chris Brown. Instead of telling them not to talk about him, I simply planted thoughts. You challenge them. You actively teach them by making them think about it. Shutting them down simply makes them do it more. This person's actually making a perfect argument to not ban him.
Right.
And if you try to do a formal write-up, most admins will admonish you over it. You know what I said to those girls? I said, you don't like it when men beat women so bad they need to go to the emergency room? Every time some goober said something about Chris Brown after that, some girl called them down, they policed themselves. That language is creepy.
It is, but I kind of understand. This is cultural enforcement, and you do want people to be informed. I think if people bring up Andrew Tate, you should be like, hey, did you hear about X, Y, and Z?
Here's the next on this. After I read that, the next response is, that is basically what I had to do when some of my high schoolers asked opinions of Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson.
Wow.
In one of these articles, they put Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson in the same category of manosphere men's rights activists. I love the idea of a Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate sit down.
That'd be great.
And I want, at the end, to have him ask Jordan Peterson, what color is your Bugatti?
So, but like, what that's laying down is essentially the biggest crime he did is focusing on men.
Yeah.
You're
not allowed to do that.
That's
anymore.
hate speech.
And not to mention the idea that that men should lead women, which, when taken to its farthest, most unreasonable conclusion, is them saying that he's saying that men control women, when that's not actually what he's saying.
Right.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. I haven't watched enough of his stuff to know for sure what everything he said. But the obvious implication of that is that men were put on this earth to be protectors.
Right.
That's
a charitable view.
If any non-Western minority would say, let's say like 90% of what Andrew Tate said, like libs here would be like, oh, that's just their culture. Like, let's allow them, whatever. But with him, since he's like from Western backgrounds, like he's a misogynist, he's this, is that. And it's like, some think, like, let's be honest, like some things he says, like straight up misogynist, like 100%.
And I'm not saying
like
that
he said,
dude. I'm saying that the dude shouldn't be barred off the internet because of vague concepts like hate speech.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that their condescension and what was George Bush's quote, like the soft bigotry of low expectations, is really on display, because essentially what they're saying is that if you're Western, you should know better. And if you're not Western, well, you
don't know any better.
It's just their culture.
You're not very smart.
It's just
their
culture.
You're a little baby, and like we have yet to guide you.
Yeah, good point. That's a great point.
There's also a really funny Bounding Into Comics article where it says TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube ban influencer Andrew Tate for hateful ideology and dangerous views about women, but allow the promotion of child mutilation. In this, they're referring to gender affirming surgery.
I will say that they are correct in calling out this vicious double standard because they really do promote gender affirming nonsense and they cut down people like Andrew Tate. If you're going to allow gender affirmation, you need to allow this crazy whatever this guy thinks, honestly.
The best thing that they can do is like, I think part of it is also like it's not necessarily what he's saying that's so dangerous to them. It's that he's found a way to be charismatic and attract an audience.
Yeah.
And they don't have somebody that can run counter
Of
to
men.
that.
Jordan Peterson
Yeah.
did that too.
Yeah.
It's the same problem Jordan Peterson had.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even though they're saying like opposite things, I think.
Dude, do you guys remember? I think it was a Vice article, and it was the ultimate in snark. It was like 24/7 snark about like, I think like a Vice reporter that attended a Jordan Peterson conference, and like his first major gripe was like, these people were wearing suits. They were They were like dressing up for a night, like for a formal night. Could you believe this? It's like,
one of my biggest issues with a lot of these articles, and I've had to make sure to not fall into the same pattern when I'm making stuff, is like, I hate the snark. Like one of these articles literally included the term like sigh. They put in parentheses, they put sigh.
Can I just say, as someone who loves to write, that is just sickening to me. Like, don't be gross. You're not a child. You need to write like an actual adult and write complete sentences and not throw in sigh. You're not a teenager. Anyway,
So,
pet peeve, it turns out.
they're not. I mean, like the whole like journalism right now is essentially like shitty millennial takes on Facebook, like in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's all like, yikes, yo, can you believe this person this sus?
Yep.
Like, is this an article from the New York Times? Yes it is.
Sad.
So basically, they talk about. I just want to cover the Hustlers University thing one more time. So it says the social media phenomenon gained internet fame through posting what has been considered controversial content encouraging masculinity, which was predominantly aimed at young men. Tate promoted his online money making course, Hustlers University, which ran an affiliate program. Oh, those are dangerous words. That encouraged members who paid $49.99 a month to receive money making tips. The most effective being to create controversial content of Tate and repost it onto social media platforms. Hustlers University
sneaky.
members were paid a cut of the membership fee to recruit new members through their social content, essentially making it a multi-level marketing
That's
scheme.
exactly what that
Tate's
is.
methodology to pay Hustlers University members to create new content of him was extremely effective, making him one of the most searched people on the internet. It's
pretty clever.
So, if anything, he's just a clever businessman with a very clear not grit.
Very
grift,
clear
yeah.
direction.
You can call it grift.
It's exactly what he wants to do.
He's
pretty
it's
upfront
a
about
grift,
it.
So
But it's like, bro, like survivor of the fittest. Like,
Yep.
They're
like
pretty good,
seriously,
yeah.
like if you're in the year of the Lord 2022 and you're still falling for shit like this, like, come on.
I mean, there's
And
people who stand celebrities for free.
he's
Yeah,
basic.
true.
This group is basically Nancy Pelosi and her husband,
Yeah.
because apparently what they do is like their own form of insider trading. It's like, we're gonna buy this, we're gonna sell that, and it's like, well, you know, that's basically every single crypto forum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like an argument against subscribing to the damn thing.
Yeah,
you know,
true. That's fair.
like you have access to Reddit for free, I guess.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.